Welcome to Rae and Tay Today.
Talking sports with friends.
Eric and I both grew up in Manhattan on the Upper West Side. I moved to his block. Well, he'll keep reminding you that I moved to his block. First day we came to the block, my mom sent me out to get some groceries, so she had me buy some milk and some meat and some... But we went, and then I saw these two kids playing football on the block. I said, uh-oh, it's on. Of course, I put down the groceries. I bumped my way into the game. I said, all right, I got to play this game. About an hour later, my mom thought I got lost, and we hit it off ever since. We really did. We found our common bond with sports. We ended up, talking about everything from sports to life. So we've been doing this for over 30 years. A lot of memories together.
Seth Davis of CBS Sports and Sports Illustrated, talking college hoops.
But for me, I got to find out from you that experience, that run for you at Duke, seeing Leitner, Hurley, Hill, and being, just to tell our listeners and our audience, what does it mean to sort of be there as a Cameron Crazy, that experience, to see probably one of the best college basketball runs ever with Leitner, and obviously winning the title in 91-92.
Yeah, well, as many people might know, I did go to Duke. I graduated in 1992, so I was in the same class as Christian Leitner, and I like to sometimes say to people, I don't know what it's like to be in college and not have the basketball team in the Final Four, because in my 4 years at Duke, they played in 4 Final Fours, they played in 3 final games, and they won it twice.
Hey, Seth, if you don't mind, I think we got a quick call here. It might be a UCLA fan here.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah, you've got a big UCLA fan out. You've got a big UCLA fan out here. So, what's your take of the coaching situation? 1, and 2, do you think the fans have unrealistic expectations for UCLA?
Well, let me say this, and I'm sure that this does not apply to you, so if you'll allow me to be totally candid, I think UCLA basketball fans are the worst fans in sports. I'm sorry to be brutal about it, and the only reason I say that is their expectations are not commensurate with their commitment. They do not show up for games. It is not uncommon when things are going bad for UCLA to have 1,500, 2,000 people at a basketball game. But They're going to turn around and they're going to say, win like Kentucky, win like Kansas.
Al Troutwig of the MSG Network and NBC Sports discussing the entire sports world.
Yeah. So what do you think happens now with the whole Hall of Fame, specifically in baseball, with all of these guys that were, A, great statistically, and B, you could argue Clemens and Bonds in particular, were probably Hall of Fame, or probably. Their numbers are Hall of Fame numbers.
They were Hall of Famers before they even started.
They started this. So how does baseball reconcile this? Do we just put an asterisk across the whole 20-year span from the mid-'80s or 25 years until now?
I think everybody has to open their eyes and agree that what happened, happened, and that doesn't make it right. These players will all be in the Hall of Fame in one way, shape, or form, just like Pete Rose is. His bat is in the Hall of Fame. His jersey's in the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose, in that way, will be honored. But I don't think they ever deserve the honor to stand there in front of the world and talk about how honored they are to go into the Hall of Fame with that plaque.
Hello, caller. You're on the air with Rae and Tay Today.
Hey, what's happening, gentlemen? How y'all doing? My name is Macau.
Hey, Macau. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing all right. I'm loving the conversation, especially what the gentleman was just speaking about LeBron. I 100% agree with that. A lot of these analysts and a lot of these media types, they are now rendered to just hate now. Because for right now, it is unquestioned that LeBron James is the best player on the planet.
Bob Brenly, World Series winning manager and TV analyst, talks MLB.
Just give our listeners a little taste of what it was like coming up, breaking into the big leagues, getting your first hit and your first home run.
Oh, man, very exciting, Eric. I got to tell you, there's a lot of different ways to get to the big leagues. There's guys that are number 1 draft picks that are can't-miss prospects. You can look at them on a field and pretty well tell this guy's going to play in the big leagues. And then there's other guys like me that kind of slipped through the cracks. I was an undrafted free agent after 4 years of college at Ohio University, and played 6 seasons in the minor leagues. I was a 28-year-old rookie by the time I got to the major leagues, and every day I spent in the big leagues, as far as I was concerned, was gravy. I mean, I didn't think I was ever going to get a chance to play professional ball, and once I got into professional ball, I didn't think I was ever going to get out of the minor leagues, but I just kept my head down, and I kept my nose clean and kept grinding away, and eventually I wore them down, and they had to give me a shot, and I tried to take full advantage of it. But my first hit in the big leagues was I grew up in Ohio, and my first game and first hit in the big leagues came at Cincinnati's old Riverfront Stadium off a right-hander named Scott Brown.
Four-time All-Star catcher Paul LaDuca talking MLB.
Hey, Paul, let me ask you something. You get these stories in baseball. You don't really have these stories in other sports. So you were a 25th round pick in 93, and then you broke into the majors with the Dodgers in 98 at age 26. So what was that like? What was it like playing in your first big league game, after you had been a star at Arizona State and a star in community college, and then you paid your dues in the minors, and then you show up, and what's that like? What's that first Major League Baseball game like?
You can't explain it. In Colorado, seemed like was my spot. I think the man upstairs designated that place because I got called up there in 1998 for unfortunate situations. To be honest, I wish I would have never got called up for that because Charles Johnson's grandmother had passed away, so he was on bereavement list, and I just got called up for 3-4 days. Got sent down in Colorado. Got called back up later in the year when we were in Colorado. Same thing in '99 to see what Colorado was going to do. I was either going to get called up there or sent down from Denver, but. I'll never forget my first at bat. I flew out, and my second at bat, I got a base hit, and then you don't remember rounding the bases. You're just on air. I mean, I'll never forget that moment. I've always had that baseball, and something you'll never forget. Like you said, I spent a lot of years in the minor leagues and worked hard to get where I was, and it's satisfaction. It's hard to get to the big leagues hard enough. It's really tough to stick. And 98, 99, 2000, I was literally up and down over 25 times. So it was a difficult process, especially being behind Mike. And then they went and traded for Charles Johnson, and then they went and traded for Todd Hundley, 3 pretty good catchers. So I just had to sit and wait until I was old enough to get the job. And really, 2001, at 29, I was a full-time starter. That was the first time I really was a full-time starter.
Let's not be so apt to just get rid of Carmelo and completely start from scratch.
So are you re-signing him to his max deal that he wants? Because that's basically the decision. Either you re-sign him to the max deal, and you get him for another 4 to 6 years.
And then you're the Milwaukee Bucks of the '80s, Hank. If you keep Melo, and you're facing the Eastern Conference with the Pacers and the Heat, unless you can make a deal to get Rondo, I don't see a way with this current roster keeping Melo that your team is going to, the Knicks will get better.
USA Today basketball writer Jeff Zillgut talks NBA hoops.
So listen, Jeff, I want to get right into checking out one of your many great articles, but definitely any man who has a son who plays basketball, I surely would love to have them, be in the NBA one day, and couldn't even imagine being in a position to actually coach my son. So just some of your thoughts about the matchup tonight, where you have Austin Rivers playing up against his dad and Doc Rivers, Coach Doc Rivers.
Yeah, it's a great story from the mere fact that you're pointing out. I mean, from my research and others, I think this is only the 4th time, at least since 1976, where father has coached against son in the NBA. So one, we're talking about a rare circumstance. Yeah, but it's rare that we see this. And I just think it's a cool story for father-son to be in this moment, because as you're saying, I mean, let's just break down the odds all the way through. The odds of, one guy making it to the NBA are so small. Then you're talking about the odds of that guy's son. Now you're talking about the odds of that guy one day coaching in the NBA against his son. I mean, it just all adds up. to what a great story it is. I know Doc's.
ESPN New York writer Ian Begley talks NBA.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Definitely.
And looking at this Eastern Conference Finals, so having seen the Knicks battle Miami, and then obviously having seen Indiana beat the Knicks, everybody in New York is obviously waiting to see the Knicks Heat in the finals, 1 versus 2. But we've got 1 versus 3. So now that we're all on the sidelines as Knicks fans, how do you see this series? What do you think about this Eastern Conference Finals?
I love what Indiana has and how it presents such a challenge for Miami, because Roy Hibbert had a great series against the Knicks. He really outplayed Tyson Chandler, and the Heat on the interior, they don't have anyone who can defend the way we thought Tyson Chandler would be able to. Chris Bosh is a pretty good defender, but he's not on the level of Tyson Chandler. So I think the Heat is going to have its hands full with Roy Hibbert and with that whole Pacer front line with David West, with Paul George. So I'm excited to see how this series plays out. I really think it's a great matchup for all basketball fans. I think I could see the Pacers easily taking 2 games off the Heat. It's all about them winning at least once in Miami. You saw how key that was in this Knicks series. The Pacers got a split in New York and were able to take care of business at home, and that's what ultimately led to them winning in 6 games. So if they can get a game in Miami, we're in for a really good series.
Stanford head coach David Shaw talking Stanford football and the NFL draft.
Yeah, well, first of all, congrats on a great 2012 season, going 12-2 and 8-1 in the Pac-12. What we wanted to know is we're from afar. We followed the Stanford program since the John Elway days, and obviously it's a great program. But it seems like you're building something special, and maybe continuing on what your predecessor Harbaugh did there. But what makes the Stanford program you're building and the student athletes that you're recruiting so unique? I mean, you're getting people, great talent from all over the country, but it seems like you're building something special over there in Palo Alto.
I think you're right. It is special. It's a different place, and getting into school here is difficult, and you have to find the right young men that have the aptitude academically to get in and do well here. And but once kids get here, this place is unbelievable with helping these guys understand what kind of school this is, helping them find what they want to study, and doing well in it. And you combine that with guys that we try to find guys that are ultra competitive. They're tough-minded individuals. So we play tight games, we play tough games, and these guys don't falter. They fight to the end. And you get kids that are really, really smart that will fight to the end, but it's because there's a chance I'd be a winner.
That's great. Now, you just finished up your Cardinal and White game, and what do you think about your season coming up? What do you think about this 2013 campaign for Stanford?
Well, first and foremost, when you talk about us right now, you got to talk about the defense. And Trent Murphy, Shane Scove, those guys are going to be All-Americans and high-round draft picks, big physical guys that can run. But look at our defense. Also, we probably have 7 or 8 guys that are going to play in the NFL. Ed Reynolds led college football last year, and intercepted return yardage. Jordan Richardson is fast and explosive also. And we've got a lot of guys that can play at a lot of different positions. So it starts with us on defense.
Charles Davis from the NFL Network and Fox Sports talking pro and college football.
Hey, Charles, we don't want to take up too much of your time. We love when you come and join us. Let me ask you this. Before we let you get out of here, you can stay as long as you want, but let's just get this one question in there. Sure. You talked about sleepers on the Heisman. What about sleepers in terms of teams, right? It seems like we went through the top 12, and there's 6 SEC teams, and there's some powerhouse teams in there. Give us a team that we should keep our eye on that's outside of the top 15, let's say, that you think can maybe even compete for a BCS championship or at least get into a nice BCS bowl game.
Well, no one's talking about UCLA because they figure the power is in the north.
With Stanford and Oregon?
But if UCLA does their thing and gets into a one-shot showdown in the Pac-12 championship game, anything can happen. And UCLA can prove their bona fides early. They go to Nebraska, I think, by week 2 or 3 of the season. That's a big
Right.
deal for them. And that's the type of team that with a quarterback like Hundley and the defense led by a guy named Anthony Barr, okay, and also Eric Kendricks, who are tackling machines, they can get on a roll and shock the heck out of people. That's one I'll give you. How about Baylor out of the Big 12? Has there ever been a time that Arbaugh hasn't had a quarterback that's been productive? He always has a quarterback that's productive. Bryce Petty will be the latest one, and they're playing better defense than they've ever played before. There's an off-the-radar type of a team that's getting some top 25 mention, but it's not a consistent one. I think that they can be the type of team that can do that. I think the Big 12 will be interesting if anyone just wants to take charge in that conference. Can an Oklahoma State do that? Can Texas do that maybe a year ahead of schedule? They've got a quarterback back named David Ash who'll be a third-year starter. Oklahoma just named a redshirt freshman, Trevor Knight, at quarterback.
Right, I really thought
that
would be the quarterback there.
Yeah, I think that's a shot in the arm for them because he's an elusive kid who's probably a little bit more accurate throwing the ball than Blake Bell. And it'd be interesting to see what Bell decides to do because he's probably tired of running the Bell-Dozer package. But that Bell-Dozer package has been a big thing, not just for him and for them. That's his way to stay on the field and stay active. So it'd be interesting to see how he feels because I think he probably like he's been the heir apparent for 2 years and now he got beat out at the quarterback position. But there are a bunch of teams across the nation that you better keep an eye on, keep some sleepers. And the opening game I have is Boise State at Washington. Boise State can come out of the Mountain West guys and get things done. And Washington, I think, is tired of winning 7 games. And I watched their quarterback Keith Price practice just a few days ago. He looks better than he's ever looked before. If they protect him, Keith Price is a more than quality quarterback. He's dynamic and exciting.
Former NFL and Oregon Duck tight end George Reister talks all things football.
And I remember when I was in the locker room in Jacksonville, there was a guy who was trying to pick on me, and I was actually hurt at the time, and he just wouldn't let off. And I told him, I said, listen, man, I came to him man-to-man in private. I said, yo, the jokes and all of that, that's cool. You know, it's fun, but you're taking it way too far right now. And you know, I don't want to cause a problem. You know, let's just cut it out. Just be respectful. Okay, yeah, George, yeah, cool. And then a couple days later, it keeps up, and I had just had enough. I had to punch him in the face. I mean, that's not the.
Was that a veteran rookie type of dynamic, or was it just he was?
No. It was like my second year, I think. It was his maybe like 6th or 7th.
Okay.
But at the same point, but the reality is after that, we never had another problem. Because when people know that you'll stand up for yourself, and I'm strictly speaking in an NFL locker room, when people know that you will stand up for yourself and that you won't tolerate those type of things, they'll leave you alone because they don't want to because the reality is most people don't actually want to fight. They don't really want to do all those things. They just want to know that you're tough, just like they are, even though that's not necessarily how you prove it.
Elizabeth Imus Zero talks comedy and about growing up the daughter of Don Imus.
Oh, okay.
Elizabeth Imus Zero, welcome to the show. You're on with Rae and Tay Today.
Yeah, well, for those of your listeners who don't know, my father is Don Imus. He's a radio personality.
Okay. So we were talking briefly, obviously, about, just some of the sports, and obviously your father really pioneered with Mike Francesa and Chris Mad Dog, who we grew up listening to. We're New York City kids, even though I'm out here in Scottsdale and Ray is still in Manhattan. WFAN 660 Sports Radio, New York City. And we're kind of curious, do you like sports? And what what is your sport of choice if you watch it? And do you have any favorite teams?
Yes, to all of those questions. I love sports, and I'll tell you what I love about them. I like to watch guys run around and get sweaty. And if a guy can run up and down a field or an ice rink or a court for like 30 minutes and sweat really hard, then I like that. I know that guy can keep up with me, and that makes me happy. And I like their outfits as well. My favorite team is the Detroit Lions. Sorry, I'm not even giving you guys a breath. I like cool. Reggie Bush. I follow him around because he dissed Kim Kardashian, and I think that's hilarious. And then you put him with Calvin Johnson, and that's a delicious meat sandwich that I'll have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So,
all right.
Yeah, so that's and I like hockey. I'm really into live hockey. I was at I was on the glass when the Ducks won in 2007 here in Orange County, and
okay.
Yeah. So, what do you guys?
So your Ducks or Rangers or Islanders? What's your team? Ducks, Rangers, Islanders. Who you got?
I don't really like the Ducks anymore. I think I'm gonna stick with the Rangers.
Cool. There you
go. But I was a Ducks fan.
Do you have any etiquette advice or stupid stories about pro athletes? Because, there's a lot of them out there, I guess.
Yeah, how about Sasha Vujacic? You need to stop wearing a headband. That's for girls. That looks dumb. That's why all the boys were picking on him. Chloe Brown needs to get bigger hands. I don't like that. I used to be a huge Lakers fan. I had season tickets in the 12th row, like facing where the TV was looking, and then I just got burned out. I just couldn't take it anymore.
Should I impose some control on the flow? Yeah. The rhyme and the beat both think they need to know, but I done mastered the conclusion, cause in this industry it seems that artistic freedom is nothing but an illusion. Mad contusions get delivered to the skull, and after repetition the brain becomes dull.
I think personally, guys, that Dallas losing the last 2 years, the last game against the Giants and the Redskins on the road and not getting in, is going to help them this time, and I think they would beat the Eagles at home. But whoever gets in out of those two, they're not going anywhere afterwards.
Yeah, not only they might lose, they'll probably be home dogs by maybe 5 points.
Yeah,
with either the Niners, or the Carolina Saints.
Panthers,
yeah, absolutely.
No, you're right. Listen, Mike, as always, great call.
This Cincinnati team, I predicted them to run away with this AFC North. They're probably not going to run away with it, but they'll still win it. They're in the learning how to play from ahead process. And who should be on the hot seat is Marvin Lewis, because he has been there for a minute. And when I say a minute, that's not a quick minute. That's a long minute.
See, I disagree with you. I think they did the right job by staying with him, and now they're having the success with him.
Yeah, but
I think he's going to lose the coordinators.
You know how many?
Jay Gruden's going to get a job.
You know how many victories he has? Playoff victories he has?
1.
0.
Oh, that's right, 0. That's right. They lost to the Jets.
And they lost to the 0.
Rae and Tay Today, talking sports with friends.
We're out.
Peace.